What's happening, buddy? We still don't know his name. I've never even heard of this. This is the Godfather. This is the Godfather right here. This is the Godfather. This is Beatrice. You're not helping. Oh, come on. Oh. God damn it. Hell yeah. What? Alright, I believe that. Alright. Last time, Keiichi asked Mion to kill Teppei, which was wild. It's like basically calling her a serial killer. It's pretty insulting, right? In her own home. Although I do think that the Sonozakis were responsible for a death in the beginning of this chapter. One of Teppei's girls, I think. Then Satoko finally came to school after midday, after everyone was pretty bummed out that she wasn't there and trying to figure out, how to deal with that situation. But she displayed signs of abuse, like real hardcore, like more than physical or emotional abuse, it seemed like. She was really messed up. And everyone got traumatized by that. Everyone's screaming, everyone's crying. Ren unexpectedly, like, really unleashed a lot of anger. It could be because of religious fervor or something that she heard Satoko say. I'm not sure. It didn't say anything like that, but it could be implied that something like that happened. Although it's not in the text, so I'll say that I don't know. So I don't know about that. But Satoko was screaming for Satoshi, right? And Keiichi kind of just snapped, and he turned into Shadow from Tails Got Trolled. That's what Keiichi became. They can't kill you, right? They can't troll you if they're dead. That's what he became. So yeah, let's continue, because Keiichi is not in a good place right now. And he's about to go wild. Let's continue. Mion and the others, having to set up for the Watanagashi festival or something, invited me along, but I refused. Oh, I didn't go this time. Of course I did. How could they be taking it easy and setting up for a festival in this situation? Mion had a lot of nerve. Man, he's really blaming everyone for everything, and no one's allowed to smile until Satoko gets her situation fixed. Which is alright. I mean, he's displaying a lot of brotherly love there. The first thing I did he wants to protect her. The first thing I did when I got back was take a shower. Not because I wanted to wash off sweat. It was because I wanted to be even calmer. I already understood this, but killing that man would be so very easy. Oh my god. The really hard thing would be not getting arrested for it, so we could get our peaceful days back. As I thought about it, I realized it wasn't easy. Japan's police force has the highest arrest rate in the world. Well, hold on. I would need to deceitfully pull off the perfect crime, and it couldn't be a half-hearted attempt. Still, it wasn't 100%. Even the best police force in the world couldn't have a 100% arrest rate. I've read a lot of articles on trials with people who brought up on false charges. At court, they consider whether the charges are false or not, but figuring out the real criminal is entirely out of scope. And that meant perfect crimes did exist. In fact, perfect crimes were sort of like works of art. Alright, calm down. They could even be respected and revered. Maybe a bank robbery or something. I'd be like, oh, that's cool. You just had to look at the inundation of mystery novels everywhere throughout history. That's cool. People have a macabre fascination with that sometimes, murder. They dealt with all sorts of difficult to solve incidents involving secret rooms and alibis and stuff, but they all wanted to show one thing. They wanted to show the beauty of a perfect crime. There was something divine in the flawlessness of the word perfect. Yes, perfect crimes were skills of the gods. And in that sense, the serial freak deaths they were calling the curse of Oyashiro-sama, I understood they must have been the works of gods. Each one appeared to have been resolved, but they couldn't stop it from happening every year. Yeah, skills belonging only to gods, those are perfect crimes. And I would be setting up my own crime before Oyashiro-sama's series of perfect crimes 4 years in a running. If I were to put it boldly, I was challenging a god. Foolhardiness, it's a hard word, would be needed to make the decision, but I needed to be calm, cool, colder than ice to put that plan together. Kill him like a flame, but as systematic as ice. Starting now, I needed to retain both of these ideas within me. Hot Ice Hilda. Modeling my crime after a mystery novel wasn't actually a bad thing to focus on. Sometimes kidnappings involved disturbing original methods that made it into the newspaper were used as a basis for novels after the person was arrested. Stuff like that made it into the news. Day and night, for a very long time, mystery novel authors polished and refined their most fantastic artistic crimes. Imitating that could be a shortcut to planning the perfect crime in a short period of time. Of course, I haven't read enough mystery novels to act all high and mighty about them. Not like Battler. The one who really liked mystery novels was my mom. She'd read every well-known mystery novel from overseas, from past and present. Every time she watched mystery shows, she would criticize them as having cheap tricks or being poorly thought out. Learn to enjoy a show. I wonder what the perfect crime would mean to her.
これまでの推理小説の中で、母さんが一番よくできたと思った完全犯罪？
I don't remember if this happened in the anime. I think it did. But also I think this also happened in Umineko.
うん。母さんって結構たくさん推理小説を読んでるでしょ。そういうの詳しいかなって思って。
それを読むから楽しいのよ。初めからトリックを教えちゃったら楽しみがなくなっちゃうわ。
It wasn't like I was asking my mom for my own amusement. She was deflecting the question, so I would somehow butter her up first and draw out an answer.
そうね。よくできた推理小説。結構どれもこれもいろんな魅力があって、どれが面白かったとは言いにくいけど、強いてあげれば。
母さんの好きな小説のタイトルが知りたいんじゃないよ。母さんが一番舌を巻いた完全トリックが知りたいんだよ。
本当に完全なトリックだったら、名探偵に解く余地がないじゃない。
That was true. Then there'd be no point.
推理小説は解ける謎をいかに解くかの過程を楽しむものよ。解けない謎だったら、それは推理小説の題材になり得ないわね。
そっか。そりゃそうだよな。主人公に解けなかったら、お話として成立しないもんな。
Was I being too simplistic? A mystery novel was basically a game. They were written so that you can get to the goal so that you could solve them. But I couldn't use something so optimistic. I needed to be the be-all, end-all of tricks so that we could, without a doubt, return to our old lives.
ということは、ケイチ。真の完全犯罪は物語にすらならない。というのがわかるかしら？
Mom looked at me intellectually and grinned impishly. I'd never gotten to read it, but apparently one time a long time ago, my mom had written her own mystery novel and submitted it to some mystery novel award. Apparently she was really into it.
物語にならないってどういう意味？
ケイチ、物語の最低構成要素は？
起承転結。
正解。特に肝心なのは当たり前だけど、木に当たる部分よ。スタートの木がなかったら、そもそも物語は始まらない。
そりゃそうだよ。 何も起こらなかったら何も始まらない。
Is Ryokishi just waxing poetic about how writing works?
そう。何も起こらないから事件にもならない。探偵も呼ばれないから推理もない。推理がないなら解決もない。つまり、これが究極の完全犯罪。
ちょっと待って。もう一度説明してくれるかな。
My mom just told me something absurd. And she was saying it so smoothly too, so I kinda tuned her out, but she said something extremely important just now.
そんな難しい話じゃないわよ。そもそも事件が発覚しなければいいだけの話。
そもそも発覚しない事件。
つまり、例えばよ。
You kill a bunch of, never mind, I'm not gonna say that.
誰も立ち入らない深い森の奥で、おじいさんが一人暮らしをしているとする。
Or ladies of the night.
うん。
そのおじいさんがある日、斧で殺されました。ちなみに犯人は、じゃあ、おじいさんの息子ね。おじいさんの家に来て一緒にお酒を飲んでいたんだけど、ちょっと喧嘩になって殺してしまった。
It was an impulsive crime without a bit of planning. It was pretty far from a perfect crime.
でも圭一、そこはとてもとても深い森の中の一軒家なの。普段は絶対に誰も訪れない深い山奥の深い深い森の中。
深い。
さて、殺した息子は町に帰ってきてこう言うの。おじいさんは元気だったって。
それのどこが完全犯罪なの？
圭一、この事件はね、おじいさんが殺されているのが見つかって初めて木を迎えるのよ。もしもこの後、誰もおじいさんの家を訪れなかったら、永久に木は訪れない。
The beginning would never occur.
だからつまり、物語は始まらない。事件が発覚しないから探偵も呼ばれない。そもそも誰も不審に思わないから謎も起こらない。おじいさんは今日も一人でのんびり森の奥で暮らしているんだろうね。で、お空におじいさんの顔が浮かんで、ジエンド。どう？こんな感じで。
すごいじゃないか。それ、ちゃんとしたトリックだよ。
でも、娯楽小説にはならないわね。推理小説は所詮娯楽書。完全犯罪の指南書にはなり得ないんだから。
I was trying hard to talk cheerfully to fool her, but inside I was excited. Special tools, strange geography, mysterious drugs, traps involving large sums of cash, none of them were needed for perfect crimes. The important thing was that there wasn't a beginning. As long as the incident didn't come to light, it would be fine. Speaking broadly, if I could kill him without anyone finding out, and dispose of the corpse somewhere no one could find, I wonder if Ryokishi ever thought about this, it would basically already be a perfect crime. Of course, if someone up and vanished one day all of a sudden, people would get suspicious. But that didn't apply to this guy. Last year, after their aunt died, he ran away from the village in fear of Oyashiro-sama. When the night of Watanagashi came around again, everyone would have to think that he ran away in fear again. I mean, he had been living with a lover of his own in town. No matter what it felt like when he vanished, no one would be suspicious. People hated him after all. No one would care where he went if he disappeared. When I thought about it like that, it got easier and easier to imagine killing him. There was no point in thinking inside my house anymore. Okay, bye Mom. Thank you. I left getting my bike out of the garage. For now, it didn't matter where I was going. I just rode through the wind, trying to calm my excitement by feeling the cool air on my body. Where I'd kill him, how I'd do it, what time, and how to dispose of the corpse. If I just had those 4 things, I could get a good plan going. I was so surprised at how little there was to decide that I shivered. I had been completely prepared to build this humongous plan over a really long period of time. But if I could just get these little things in order, I could put it into motion. Today was Saturday. I would have to kill him on the night of Watanagashi. So as long as well, you wouldn't have to, but okay, whatever. So as long as I was standing in for Oyashiro-sama, I only had 24 hours remaining. Satoko, just hang on for 24 more hours. I can't even imagine having to suffer through even more, but please hold out just a little longer. I know you can't even last another second, I know that. But please just hold out. Your Nini will save you for sure. Outside, it was still early enough for the cicadas to be crying. Early afternoon. Evening was still a long ways off. I looked at the sky. At some point it had gotten cloudy. Come to think of it, as I left the house, I heard on the TV that the weather forecast was calling for a chance of rain on Sunday. The sky was the color of lead. If I heard a little bit of thunder, I'd definitely have expected a sudden evening shower. My first destination was school. Before explaining why I was going there, I needed to explain what method for killing that man I had decided upon. I decided that the most suitable death... I'm really screwing up right now. Should I redo the whole thing? No, I'll fix it later. I decided that the most suitable death, the one thing I needed to give him, was the same as last year's curse. The same as the punishment their aunt had received, being beaten to death. Can I just see... what is this? I like this. Alright. Wouldn't beating him to death be somewhat unreliable? You may think that stabbing him with a blade would be more reliable, but this was something I had chosen after a lot of thought. You just needed to think realistically. The law, it prohibited carrying any blade longer than 10 centimeters, I think. So the blades available to me, even the longest ones, were still limited to things being shorter than a ruler. Why are you worried about what you're going to be caught with? Whatever. You can probably understand how tricky it would be with such a short reach to go up against an opponent that might fight back. In that case, a weapon with more reach, like a staff, would be far more advantageous. Yeah, you should go after him with a freaking... a spike. A spear. It might not be quite as inherently lethal, but since you can just keep hitting the guy until you kill him, the end result would be the same. So what's that staff-like deadly weapon, terrifyingly powerful, and also eminently portable? By that point, you should immediately think of a metal baseball bat. Well, I don't need to explain how terrifying a metal baseball bat can be as a weapon. It's true. Of special note is the fact that you can carry one around in broad daylight and not be thought of as suspicious. Good point. Just those 2 points would have been enough to choose a metal bat for my weapon. But there was one more reason for choosing that metal bat in particular. I will speak about it later. You want to be Satoshi? After school that Saturday, my classmates were still having fun playing in the schoolyard. I could show up there and it would be the same as always, so nobody would think I'm suspicious. Honestly, give me more of that. Getting my hands on the weapon without looking suspicious was actually a factor I couldn't ignore. I didn't normally play baseball, so if I went to a sports store looking for a metal bat, it would definitely be suspicious. I can't let there be a beginning to the story, so I needed to be really careful even about that. That left school. Honestly, I'm really enjoying this. Okay. Just enjoying this. This is nice. At a location at which my appearance wouldn't be suspicious, I would acquire the weapon. I checked inside the classroom through the window, but of course there was nobody there. The only students who would stay in there were me and the others when doing club activities. Without us, the classroom after school was just an empty, unused room. Without glancing around nervously, as if I'd just gone to get something I'd forgotten, I casually went in the entrance. It looked like the teacher was busy with paperwork in the teacher's lounge. I didn't see her in the hallway. Naturally, yet quickly as a shadow, I entered the classroom. I don't even think you need to hide that you're getting a baseball bat if you're just going to be walking around with it. The empty room was full of strange, stagnant air that you couldn't feel normally. Damn it. I missed my chance to really enjoy that. That's frozen to death. Just a little bit less. An empty classroom with nobody here. Maybe while no one was around, the desks creep about on their own accord, licking the floors clean of dirt, like Beauty and the Beast. If I'd suddenly stepped into a place like that, wouldn't the desks, in their surprise, fly at me, crush my bones, and eat me alive? That reminds me of one place in the Baldur's Gate 3.
バカバカしい。
I felt regret at having wasted valuable thinking time on stupid delusions. Just a little bit less. The students' lockers were lined up in the back of the classroom. The one I was looking for wasn't my own. It was a forbidden locker, one I had accidentally discovered one day.
あった。北条。間違いない。
If one person has one locker, then why would Satoko have two? I'd made a fuss about it once. After that, I learned it was Satoshi's locker, and he had the same last name as her. But of course, even though it was a locker for a student no longer here, looking inside it was still a shameless act. But one time, I let my curiosity get the better of me and took a peek inside. Inside, it was average and worthless. At the time, I hadn't been interested, so until now I'd forgotten what had been in it. But now that I had, dare I say it, awakened. He's awakened Keiichi now. I remembered the thing that had been there. Scrape. Don't drag it across the floor, though. I opened the locker. Oh yeah. Thing needs oil. And a sudden stench of mold and sweat wafted out, like a gym storehouse that hadn't been cleaned in weeks. My face puckered up at the stench, but I looked for it. Yes. Satoshi was on Coach's baseball team. Inside the locker was a Hinamizawa's fighter's uniform. And it, the one Satoshi used, the metal bat. Yes. This was the real reason I wanted to choose this bat. This murder would be carried out by me, but this wasn't originally my role. It was Satoshi's. But I would stand in for him and call myself Satoko's Nini. Symbolic, I like it. It was one of the rules for standing in for him. I reached for the metal bat and grasped it firmly. It was light, and yet its tip had enough heft in it, enough to easily imagine the horror if I brought it down with all my might. Satoshi, I'll give you one last chance to save your sister. Lend me your strength. You're a coward, but I'll stand in for you. And if you still care about her even a little bit, you will lend me your strength. There is no more suitable weapon in the world for putting that man to death than your bat. Now, I just needed to figure out where to hide it. Why would you need to hide it? Just to walk around with it. Tomorrow, before the act, I would just stop by school and grab it. Because I couldn't ignore the possibility that someone would see me bringing it home and think it was strange. But if I left it here, there wouldn't be a problem. I think he's thinking too much of it. A teenager with a bat is not a... Plus, tomorrow was Sunday. Especially on the weekend, who cares? Not only that, it was the day of the biggest festival in the whole school. Village. Nobody would be coming to school. I left out the entrance and went over to the construction vehicle parked out nearby. We'd been warned by our teacher not to touch it just for laughs, so none of the kids would come near the vehicle either. They wouldn't, because if she found out and they touched it, they'd be in huge trouble. I quietly hid it in the shadow of the vehicle. The chances of someone operating the vehicle tomorrow were slim to none, because tomorrow was Sunday. Government workers had the day off. And from what my classmates said, that thing had been left here for years now. Machines that haven't been moved in years, you can't just suddenly start them up again. So I was almost definitely fine in this case. The sunlight was piercingly hot. My head grew faint for a moment. Had the heat been this harsh for the entire day? A moment of dull thought like this was a moment of carelessness. Dulled thoughts. I gave myself a couple hits in the head, then looked around warily. Okay. Next, how to dispose of the corpse. This is fun. More fun than everyone being, traumatized. Disposing of the corpse. The ultimate way not to create a beginning was to not let the corpse be found. It was even more important than killing him. Thinking on it vaguely, the first thing that came to mind was the swamp. Onigafuchi, the dreadful bottomless swamp revered even now, that appeared in the legends of Onigafuchi village. Yes, the swamp called Onigafuchi was here first, and the village took its name to become Onigafuchi village. In other words, this swamp was the origin of Onigafuchi village. No one, no matter who it was, would float back up to the surface of this bottomless swamp. Oh, you don't know that, hold on. Everyone would be swallowed down into the land of the demons below the earth. That was how the stories went. If I was trying to copy Oyashiro-sama's curse, then I felt that theory demanded I discard the remains and the weapon into the swamp. But they might have said it was bottomless, but I didn't actually know. And people say large creatures like humans produce a lot of gas when they rot, granting a lot of buoyancy. It was why using fairly heavy objects to hold people down didn't work. Come to think of it, with the curse the year before last, Rika's mother drowned herself in this swamp. And the criminal behind the dismemberment that went missing the year of the first curse too. It was rumored he tried to discard the body in the swamp and accidentally drowned in it. How'd you do that? Oh, something else happened, I think, but... Try to throw the corpse in and then just you drown instead? What? I never heard of the curse coming back up or them finding it. Then, shouldn't I choose to discard the corpse here there too? I could discard the weapon there. And then, for example, if her uncle came out on a motorcycle and attacked, it would be convenient to get rid of the bike too. I knew that Satoko's uncle generally used the motorcycle for transportation. But as for the corpse... After a lot of worrying, I decided not to discard the corpse in the swamp. I didn't mean to do that. The drowning, suicide, and accident were both rumors. Nobody knew if they'd actually happened. There were no lack of false rumors about the drowning suicide anyway, and it was possible the murderer hadn't drowned there and was still on the run. That meant no one had ever confirmed a corpse being dropped in there and then not coming back up. Then what would I do with the body? I thought it might be interesting to go with the first incident, counting up the pieces and hide them. Jesus Christ. But the preparation and work for dismembering a human body would be difficult given the amount of time I had. With that out of the question, I arrived at the conclusion to go with the more orthodox method of burying the body. Then where would I bury it? Was a question related to where I would kill him. Of course, I wanted to keep my time and proximity to the body at a minimum. With that in mind, I would want to dig the hole to dump the body in beforehand and to make the location of the act and the hole close together. The choice of where to plan the crime. That I needed to be absolutely careful and thorough with. It had to be somewhere nobody would witness it, and a place with hiding places for a sneak attack. I could dig a hole for the body right there. I'd go over the possibilities in my head of the various destinations her uncle would head to from Satoko's house. I imagined a map of the area in my head, and then I found a place that fulfilled those conditions so easily it was almost unbelievable. A bit of a back road that went through the woods. I didn't think her uncle would go deeper into the mountains of Yagauchi on a whim. If he was going somewhere, he'd pass through these woods first. And nobody used this back way unless they had something to do at Satoko's house or one of the two other places. This path was fantastically ideal, as few people used it. I would wait for him here in these woods. Would an ambush actually be possible? I went into the trees and tried really hiding myself in a few places. It was extremely quiet. My senses could be sharpened here to their maximum amount. I didn't know when he'd come, but I'd wait right here for Satoko's uncle. I actually had some trouble coming to that decision. The question arose of whether I should somehow call the man out. No, don't do that. Was there a risk I'd be taking by luring him here? That man made Satoko do all the shopping and errands. Oh, that's true though. He seldom left of his own business. He wouldn't leave unless I worked out a plan to force him to, would he? That was the question. Tomorrow was the Watanagashi festival. Would he go out for the festival or would he stay inside? If he stayed inside, how would I drag him out of his house? That's right. Wouldn't he make Satoko go to the festival? Satoko would go to the festival. Meanwhile, I would call the man. This is the Okonomiya police station. We have the young lady from your house. Could you come and pick her up immediately? It didn't even have to be the police. Yeah, don't try and be the police. You sound like a child. This is the clinic. The young lady from your house has been injured. Please come and pick her up. Yes, that would work too. If I claimed to be the police or the hospital, told him to come, and then hung up on him, he'd rush here trying to figure out what was going on, wouldn't he? Or a worker at the festival. And just the other day, he was visited by a probation officer. He wouldn't suddenly grumble about having to get his niece and not go. It would look like child neglect. The man had no useful skills around the house. Satoko, his slave, was an essential part of his daily life. Conclusion. If he went out of the festival, I would attack him here on his way there, or back. If he didn't, I would lure him out by phone. If luring him out by phone was my first step, I needed to be sure Satoko would go to the festival, leaving the house. It would be convenient if I could make Mion take Satoko to the festival. She said her aunt was a district welfare officer. In other words, an ally to the probation officer. If I somehow incited Mion to take Satoko to the festival with her, well, being who she was, she'd use the fact and get her there. Satoko should just take a break and have fun at the festival with everyone. She should have a good time, reminisce on our former peaceful days, and when she got home, everything would be over. Yeah, that would be the best outcome. With that decided, I needed to dig a hole somewhere in the woods to hide the body. So it wouldn't stand out, so it wouldn't be found. Someplace nobody would see me while I was completely exposed as I buried the corpse. I had wanted it to be close to the scene of the crime, but it naturally grew farther away. Deep in the bosom of the black forest. The voices of the Higurashi were the only sounds here, informing me that people shouldn't indiscreetly set foot in this place.
穴を掘るか。
Digging a hole with so many tree roots clawing around the ground would be far more difficult than I envisioned. I snuck a gardening spade out here in my bag, but that wouldn't be enough. Still, as I looked into various approaches, I managed to find a place I could dig into. Tomorrow I'd bring a real shovel from the storehouse at home. I'd manage with that. I wondered how big a hole it would have to be to fit a human all the way into it. I'd probably have to dig pretty deep down. But if I was slipshod in these efforts, I'd let a beginning occur. I absolutely couldn't allow that. Use any amount of time you need to. I mustn't spare any effort to utterly erase him. I glanced at my wristwatch. It was a little past 6. This was probably all I was going to get done for today. I really wanted to dig a hole in advance tonight, even if it got dark out, but Mom would be upset if I stayed out that late. It wouldn't be good to come off as suspicious to my parents. I needed to go back home and give Mion a call soon. I needed to get her to promise Satoko to take her by tonight. After that, today would be done. Done. Would it be though? Was this really everything I could do to prepare right now? I decided where to kill him. I decided how to kill him. I decided, of course, how to dispose of the body. I didn't decide on a time, but I would play that by ear. I didn't have a way to decide that. Was that really all? Was that really all? Was this really all right? Have I overlooked anything? Just naturally overlook something whenever you're doing this for the first time. Will this really go how I planned? Not that I know. After all this, worry started welling up one after another. It was only natural I'd be anxious. This would be the first and last big job of my lifetime. This would be your last big job of your lifetime? I could not allow failure, and I had no experience, as this was my first time. I didn't have the know-how, the knack, so it was only natural I'd be anxious. The dark clouds of unease told me that doing nothing would be the easiest way, a truly pathetic suggestion this late in the game. Have you forgotten how miserable Satoko looked? From the outside, it may have looked like I was resolute, but deep in my heart, my knees were shaking loudly. I'd never actually won a fight to my satisfaction. Could I really kill someone? I may have been planning on an ambush, but my enemy was larger and far older than me. He had a scary face, and he looked like he was well accustomed to fighting. Could I have... All the pieces before and after the murder were perfectly planned. But what was the actual murder, the most important part, what unsettled me the most? I tripped a lot there. All my preparations, all of my perfectly concealed machinations, if I didn't successfully murder him, they amounted to nothing. Damn it. After coming this far, you're pathetic, Keiichi Maibara. If you start to have these kind of second thoughts, your ulterior motive will be too obvious. Let's go home. Go home and calm your mind. Tomorrow will be a juncture in your life, the likes of which graduation, employment, marriage, and childbirth couldn't hold a candle to. Jesus, a day of murder to kill someone for someone else's sake. With that day behind us, we would take it back again. Those mild, spring-like days we never thought would stop. Those safe, peaceful, fun times. I pedaled my bicycle hard back home. To get back home, I felt somehow unsteady. Like my body and soul weren't in alignment. A subtle shift between where the tip of my hands and feet really were and where I felt them to be. My vision was a little distant and narrow. He is not doing great. As if the great barrier I risked my future life on had nothing to do with me. An unreal sensation. How could I put it? Everything was so far away. Fine. Your unease permeate you. Keiichi Maibara. Oh, feel your unease permeate you. If that will turn your timidity into meticulousness and allow you to act with greater caution, then it's actually an important emotion to feel. This feeling I had never went away that night. He's not doing great. He is freaking out. It's like he's Like something's got control of his mind or something. Or there's a medical problem with it. I don't know. There's something wrong with this guy. It was the first time I'd been calling Mion's house. I'd be calling Mion's house. I searched for her in the phone book the school gave me, then dialed a short phone number, the kind unique to remote places. That's cool. I really like this setting, where all the kids in the school share one classroom. And this is like a very poor school. I like it. It's very quaint. It was around dinner time. She would probably be home. But just as I started to think nobody would respond, someone finally picked up the receiver.
はい、その時です。
あ、夜分遅くにすみません。ミオンか？
どちら様です？
俺だよ、ケイジだ。
This is the weird filter they have on both people talking. It's like we're listening to them being recorded.
ああ、ケイちゃんか。何こんな時間に。
Oh, I wanted to hear this part. She seemed to be in a weirdly good mood, and she drew her syllables out. Really? Let me see again.
ああ、ケイちゃんか。何こんな時間に。
Maybe a little bit. Right, it's the night before tomorrow's festival. So she's probably with her family having some drinks.
悪いな、こんな時間に。今、時間は大丈夫か？
うん。何？
サトコのことなんだけど。
I heard her draw in a small breath at the other end.
サトコ、大変なことになっちゃったね。大丈夫かな？
The scent of sake had completely disappeared from her voice.
大丈夫なわけないだろう。お前も見ただろ。あれ。
あんな、擦り切れるまでにいじめ抜かれて。
Why did they remove the filter this time?
俺たちはあんなになるまで、ずっと見捨ててきた。
見捨ててたわけじゃないよ。みんな助けようとして必死に考えてたよ。
でも結局何も思いつかなかったし、サトコを救えたわけじゃないだろう。
Okay, I don't know why they did that. Again, put the filter back on.
結局、あんなになるまで、俺たちは何もできなかった。
そうだね。私は結局見てただけかも。
Oh, come on, Kate. Look what you're doing to Mion.
だからさ、せめて一夜くらい遊ばせてやろうじゃないか。
遊ばせるって。
あいつもいろいろと参ってるのわかるだろう。だからさ、明日の綿流しのお祭りにあいつを連れて行ってやってほしいんだ。
それは構わないけど、どうして？
どうしてって、せめて祭りの夜くらい息抜きさせてやりたいじゃないか。たとえ一夜でもあの意地悪なおじの元から離れられるなら、短い時間でもきっとサトコは喜ぶ。
だからどうして？
Oh, no reason.
どうしてって何がだよ。
I was having a little difficulty understanding what Mion was asking of me.
どうして？ケイちゃんが連れて行ってあげないの？
Oh my god, are you both planning to murder Teppei tonight?
私に頼まなきゃならないの？
Mion was persistent about odd things. No, maybe it'd be better to say she was sharp.
俺、実はちょっと明日は用事があってさ、祭りには行けない。だからサトコ、ミオンが連れて行ってやってほしい。
用事って？
大した用事じゃないんだ。多分すぐに片付くと思うけど、ひょっとすると明日は合流できないかもしれない。なあミオン、明日の夜だけサトコを頼めないか。
Mion took a long time to give a reply. I got the feeling that Mion had been acting weird for a while now. Like she was flustered by emotions or something.
いや。
Is she crying? Huh? Was that a sob? Mion? Are you crying?
私、嫌だって言ったじゃ
Uh-oh.
ない。
We were instantly found out? We didn't even do anything yet.
私なんかに押し付けられても困るって。
Oh, okay. Huh.
別に押し付けるつもりなんかないよ。明日の夜だけでいいんだ。
嘘だったじゃない。
Uh-oh. What? Mion, what was she talking about?
綿流しの夜だけって言って、結局ずっとだった。嘘つき。でもおあいこかな。
What is this about? You're messing with us?
私全然あなたとの約束、あの子はずっとほったらかしだしね。
I had no idea what to say to that. Mion was clearly now talking to someone other than me. I didn't know who. I don't know who either. Satoshi? All I could do was listen to her in a daze.
あれからずっと帰ってこないのに、あの子のことをもう一度押し付けるためだけに
Is this Mion?
また電話をしてきたんですね。
There's no guarantee. There's nothing that says this has to be Mion.
本当にずるい人。
It could be Mion, but
ねえ、あなたサトシ君なんでしょう。
what?
ミオ、さっきから何の話だ？
When I said her name, whatever spell was on Mion was released.
あ、あ
This is Shion.
ごめん。なんでもないの。ちょっとケイちゃんの今の電話にそっくりな電話を昔受けたことがあって。
Damn. Damn.
それ、ひょっとしてサトシか？
Mion didn't answer. All I could hear were sobs coming through the receiver.
ごめんね。ちょっと私寝ぼけてるみたい。変なとこで感情的になっちゃった。ごめんね。焦ったでしょ。
I had no idea how it happened, but I was pretty sure that last year, on this very day, Satoshi had called Mion and told her to bring Satoko to the festival. And when she asked why he needed her to do it, he replied the same way I just did.
サトシ、祭りに行かなかったんだな。
うん。用事があるから自分は行けないって言って、代わりに私にサトコを祭りに連れて行ってくれって。
その時、サトシも言ったんだな。サトコを頼むって。
うん。言ったよ。明日の夜だけ頼むってね。ケイちゃんの言い方があまりにもよく似てたんで。
I want to hear that laugh again, actually. But I think it's at the end of the sentence. I think it's that. Oh well.
ちょっと思い出して取り乱しちゃった。
I didn't expect this. Actually, I'll save it and I'll do it later. Satoshi had given her the exact same phone call 1 year ago today. After that, Mion had said more. That he was lying. That he told her it would only be for the night of the festival.
そうだったな。サトシはその数日後に消えた。
Disappeared might have been a rather vague way to put it. Whether he ran away or not, Satoshi left, abandoning Satoko. Wait, so even Keiichi is, or no, he's not.
そう。天候でもなく、家出でもなく、消えたの。
And then, an idea far more indistinct than even fog crossed my mind. Satoshi made the exact same phone call as me last year. Why would Satoshi make the exact same phone call? If, in the truest sense, he really made the exact same phone call as I am doing right now, then the incident where their aunt was beaten to death, could it? Huh.
サトシだ。
え？ 何が？
Last year. Keiji, say it. Tell it to her. Tell it to her. Tell it to her. Satoko had been constantly abused by her uncle's wife, their aunt, too. Her aunt abused her the most. And on that night, in the name of Oyashiro-sama's curse, she was taken from this world. If I thought about that, everything made perfect sense, didn't it?
去年サトコのおばが殴り殺されたじゃないか。あれサトシってことは考えられないか？
Hell yeah, I'm so glad he said this. No, but that would mean... ... But then Satoshi, he was a coward who abandoned Satoko and ran away, wasn't he? Well, you decided that on your own, fool. How could Satoshi resolve himself to kill a person to save Satoko? It was unthinkable. Inconceivable!
私も実はそれを疑ったことがある。サトシには悪いけど。
A few days later, he disappeared. On Satoko's birthday. I'm gonna watch The Princess Bride. When I first heard it, I flew into a rage. What a cruel day to have run away on. But now that I thought about it like this, the story changed completely. Satoshi had probably been even less calm than I was now. He was her big brother, related by blood, watching his little sister be abused day in and day out. Maybe that's why he couldn't keep calm. And that was why the corpse of their aunt, beaten to death, was so easily discovered. He freaking lost himself. He lost himself in anger and hadn't hidden the corpse. He permitted a beginning to occur. If the police conducted a full-blown investigation, it was easy to imagine they wouldn't take a long time to pin down Satoshi as the culprit. Satoshi. He wished for a return to peaceful days with Satoko, and though he achieved it for a time, he had been steadily driven into a corner. And then, he wanted to at least hold out until Satoko's birthday. But finally, they nailed him. At the time, Satoshi had been carrying the savings he had amassed to buy Satoko a giant stuffed animal for a birthday present. He would buy the stuffed animal as her gift and then get caught. Or he could use the money and disappear. That was the choice he had been forced to make. And then he decided not to make Satoko the sister of a murderer. Interesting theory. If that was the case, then it must have been an unspeakably bitter decision. All that money he'd saved wanting to see Satoko happy, he had to use it to make her sad. And he used the savings and disappeared to Tokyo if the rumors were true.
サトシはそれで消えたのか？
それはわからない。大石なんかはそう思ってるみたいだけどね。
Oishi. Had he been slowly driven into a corner by that repulsive man's pig-headed pursuit?
確かに状況証拠は揃ってるけど、多分ケイちゃんの推理は外れだと思う。
Is this the police's fault?
県内のどっかで捕まったろくでなしが犯行を自供したっていうし。
Who was this guy? That was right. The deviant had confessed, and the incident was solved.
そいつは本当にただの異常者で、ひなみ沢とは何の縁もない男だったって。
Interesting.
もちろんサトシとも何の関係もない。だからそんな奴がサトシの身代わりになって嘘をついてくれたなんて到底思えないし。
You couldn't just arbitrarily decide like that. You never know where or how humans are tied together. You're saying that too, and Keiichi's saying this. If that guy took the blame, then it was the perfect crime. Of course, if it was really a perfect crime, there would have been no reason for Satoshi to vanish.
それに、サトシには逃亡資金なんてなかったと思う。サトシが預金を下ろした日、これは誰に言っても信じてくれないんだけど、サトコのために買うと言ってたぬいぐるみが、売れてショーケースからなくなってたの。きっと、サトシが買ったに違いない。
ちょっと待てよ。逃走資金に使わないで ぬいぐるみを買うために使ったなら、サトコのところへ帰るはずだろ。ぬいぐるみを買って、それを届けもせずに蒸発するなんて考えられない。
うん。だから、わからなくなっちゃうんだよ。まとまったお金があるならともかく、貯金を全部使っちゃったなら、サトシは無一文。
How much was the stuffed animal?
お金もなく逃亡生活ができるほど、世の中は甘くないよ。
You can either move to a whole new city and start a new life, or buy a stuffed animal. The same amount of money. I didn't get it. After all that, I was understanding Satoshi less and less. The two of us fell silent. I couldn't remember how we even got on this topic. Did I mean to do that?
ごめん。どこで話が脱線しちゃったんだか。サトコの件ね、安心していいよ。実はもうちゃんと誘ってあるんだよ。
え？本当かよ。
祭りの準備でみんなで神社に行った時さ、サトコを祭りに呼ぼうって話になったんだよ。それで集会所の電話でそのまま電話して誘ったんだ。おじのやつよそよそしくて勝手にしろみたいな感じだったけど、とりあえず OK はしてくれた。
Tepe was outside?
明日みんなで待ち合わせしていくことになってるんだよ。安心した？サトシ。
Calm down.
バカ、俺はサトシじゃないって。
I was a little relieved. I hadn't needed to make the phone call. Satoko had already been invited to the festival. And not in a way that spelled the blood, a way to leave her uncle alone to create time for me to kill him. Well, now Shion knows. They purely wanted Satoko to enjoy herself. So they invited her. I decided at Shion. In the end, it was the same. But I was happy for that slight difference.
すまないな。俺が電話をするまでもなかった。昨日にしろ今日にしろ、変な話ばかりしてすまないな。忘れてくれ。
こっちこそ本当に申し訳ない。柄にもなく取り乱しちゃって本当にごめん。
We apologized to each other for a little bit.
じゃあ俺はこれで失礼するな。おやすみ。
何の用事？
Leave me alone. You know what I'm doing. As if interrupting our parting words. Mion struck straight where it hurt.
それもまたサトシと同じように言えない？
And go play video games.
バカ。だから俺はサトシじゃないって言ってるだろ。
うん。そんなのは分かってるよ。
Actually, in 1983, what do they have? Nothing good. I deflected her with a response that really wasn't an answer. Pong? Mion didn't hound me anymore after that.
じゃあ今度こそおやすみな。
どうしてケイちゃんがサトシ君と全く同じ電話をしてきたのかわからないけれど、なんでもない。
How about you don't ask me questions right now?
ごめんね。おやすみ。
切るぞ。
Click. Haha, nobody's the wiser. Satoshi Hojo. Just who are you? I scorned you as a coward who ran away, abandoning his sister. Mr. Jump to conclusions. I always thought you didn't have the right to call yourself her Nini. But now I didn't know what to think. Oyashiro-sama's curse on the 4th year. Their aunt's death and Satoshi's disappearance. And now, me trying to carry out Oyashiro-sama's curse on the 5th. Oddly enough, what I was going to do overlapped perfectly with Satoshi, the day before the curse. No, that wasn't all. If we start back from Satoko being abused, then I'd been overlapping with Satoshi for days already. When I talked to Mion before, she asked me if I was Satoshi. If that was the first impression a third party like Mion got, then it was probably true. The spirit of Satoshi as possessed Keiichi. Then, as Satoshi had accomplished, I would succeed in the murder. But that was the extent to which we overlapped. I was far calmer than Satoshi, and more calculating. I'm smarter than everybody. I could actually grow calmer. the more enthusiastic I became. And that's why I wouldn't follow in Satoshi's footsteps. I would snip him cleanly out of the world, and then get our peaceful life back. Maybe Satoshi had been with me ever since I chose Satoshi's bat as my weapon like 3 minutes ago. No, maybe even longer than that. When I decided I'd be her Nini, maybe Satoshi had been residing within me then too. Satoshi, were you really a coward? Obviously not. Or are you a true Nini even now, the kind worthy of Satoko's love? I'd never met him, never spoken to him, didn't even know his face, but I decided he was a piece of trash all the same, and yet I felt so connected to him. I'd felt that way before. It's getting spicy. I like this. Something interesting from last year. July 1982. Okonomiya Police Station, 1st Investigative Division. Chief Takasugi. Whatever Prefecture Police Headquarters for the Eradication of Drug-Related Crime. Shishibone Branch Head, some guy. Regarding incident, whatever, designated as undercover investigation. This message is to inform you that a section of the testimony records of an incident under the police headquarters jurisdiction has been found that is thought to be related to the undercover investigation of the incident in question. Okonomiya Police Station, whatever, Hinamizawa Village Housewife Slaughter Incident. During investigation of suspect, the drifter, or whatever, the drug addict, who was arrested for possession of illegal drugs, there was testimony alluding to the crime in question, and it became clear that it contained information that only the perpetrator could have known. Therefore, we are prepared to share this record of testimony with you, duplicate attached. If this testimonial is to be believed, then there is an extremely high chance that suspect, that guy, was the perpetrator in the incident in question. In addition, well, hold on. Just because he knows some information. In addition, on receiving this testimony, the head investigator on the case inquired as to the incident with the Okonomiya Police Station. But the responsible party at Okonomiya Police Station misunderstood, and in compliance with the designation as an undercover investigation by executive order from Prefectural Police Headquarters on July 1st, 1982, General Administration B-112, they did not explain the incident's existence to the head investigator as they should have. Huh? Because of this, the head investigator did not realize the importance of the testimony as it related to the case in question, and as a result, was negligent when combing the scene. We apologize for having effectively ignored it until now. God damn it! Okay, wait, who was undercover as well? Someone's undercover? Okay. Hold on, it's way back here. Undercover investigation of the incident in question. Who's undercover? In addition, there is a postscript stating that suspect, that guy, died while in confinement yesterday on... Oh my god, this is like the True Detective. It's getting good. I like it. I'm enjoying this way more than sad facts about real life things. Yeah, can't wait for the next one.